Right now, Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs on her first 4 years in office and what she would do if Arizona voters give her 4 more years in November. Also on Square Off, is Senator Ruben Gallego getting tips on spending campaign cash from former Senator Kyrsten Sinema? Will President Trump's refusal to sign a landmark housing affordability bill hurt Arizona Republicans in the fall? Our Red, White, and You stories celebrating America's 250th birthday recognize people who make a difference. Meet the woman behind a Navajo dog rescue that's getting national attention.
I am proud to say that I have lowered taxes every single year of my administration. As the politicians in Washington, D.C. raise the cost of living with tariffs, a war on Iran that's hiking the cost of gas and groceries, and a tax on affordable health care, in Arizona, we are taking a different approach.
We start with Governor Katie Hobbs. At a news conference this past week, Hobbs declared how proud she was to lower taxes all of her 4 years in office. Who would have bet 4 years ago that a Democratic governor would deliver a tax-cutting, government-shrinking budget? And is this what voters can look forward to in the next 4 years if Katie Hobbs is reelected? Governor Katie Hobbs joining us now. Welcome back to Square Off.
Thanks for having me.
I want to put a timestamp on this conversation. There is discussion of a grand bargain on school vouchers going on at the Capitol. We are talking on Friday. Anything new to report?
Not at this moment, but the day is young and we will see what happens.
And I'll check the prediction market on that to see how that looks as the days go on. Let's talk about the tax cuts. This year's tax cuts are largely what Republicans put forward at the start of the session to match the tax cuts in the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. You vetoed those initial bills put forward by Republicans. So you were against the $1.4 billion in tax cuts before you were for it. Explain.
That is a bit of a mischaracterization. Back in November, I proposed the middle class tax cuts package, which prioritized the parts of the federal tax cuts that would most benefit middle class Arizonans who are most feeling the pinch of Washington's cost hiking agenda. I urged the legislature to send those tax cuts to my desk first thing, and I signaled over and over again that I was absolutely willing to negotiate on the other pieces of full tax conformity. We got there at the end of the day. I'm glad we did. These are tax cuts that will deliver meaningful relief for Arizonans who are still struggling with rising costs, including a higher standard deduction, elimination of tax on tips and overtime, $6,000 tax credit for seniors, and expanded child care tax credits.
But again, other than, I think, the child care tax credits and maybe a few other things, most of the $1.4 billion is the Trump tax cut.
These are tax cuts for Arizonans that we negotiated in the bipartisan budget.
Going back to your 2022 campaign, I don't think anybody, maybe even you, would have guessed that 4 years later, Katie Hobbs would be all about cutting taxes. You almost sound like Doug Ducey.
Well,
what happened? What changed?
I certainly didn't campaign against cutting taxes.
You opposed the Ducey tax cuts.
Well, here's the thing. I ran on delivering for Arizonans and tackling tough challenges that I think have been ignored for a while. Looking at how do we address the housing affordability crisis? How do we protect our water for generations to come? How do we secure the border in the face of years of federal neglect on that? And continuing to invest in public education, providing that opportunity for Arizonans, creating good paying jobs. I'm really proud of what we've done to deliver on those things. Those are all things I've heard from Arizonans that are priorities for them. Rising costs continues to be a priority. Tax cuts are a way to directly help Arizonans put more money back in their pockets.
At the same time, when you and I spoke several months ago about this, you talked about, you were concerned about the cost. Now we look at the cost. The next governor is going to inherit a very, very small surplus, which leaves little room for maneuver. Are these tax cuts fiscally sound?
Our budget is forward-looking, and we have a balanced budget for the next, few years, and that is how we budget. This budget is fiscally responsible. It continues to invest in services that Arizonans rely on. It secured funding to continue our border security operations. It secured funding to continue to fight for our Colorado River rights, and we also invested in public schools. All of these things are priorities for Arizonans, and we budgeted with all of those things in mind.
In 2022, you presented yourself as a problem solver, not a conspiracy theorist. We were still in the wake of 2020, yes. And as Secretary of State, you dealt with that. So what is the one problem you can say you have solved or are well on your way towards solving?
Well, as I mentioned, we took on a lot of tough challenges that have been years in the making. I think one thing that is front and center issue right now is Colorado River. When I took office, we got the lower basin states to the negotiating table to work out a plan that got us to this point. And we've been at the table negotiating on the future of Colorado River and how that impacts Arizona. We're not at a solution yet, but we have made huge progress in prioritizing Arizona's Colorado River at the federal level to ensure that we can continue our economic position. We are producing more fresh vegetables for the country. We are producing more advanced missile systems. We are producing more advanced, the most advanced chips made in America in Arizona, and producing critical minerals, all critical to America's economic future, our national security. We do that with Colorado River water, and no other state can say that, and we've been making that case.
All of this is shrouded by a record of, I think, 500 plus vetoes over 4 years, the first 4 years of divided government in over a decade in Arizona. The Republicans argue those were solutions you vetoed.
I would absolutely disagree with that. And I would say that I am proud of the fact that I have signed over 800 bipartisan bills into law. I didn't come here to veto bills, and I've said that from day one. But
Are you shocked at how many you vetoed?
It's a lot. But I will say this. Working with divided government, we have found ways to work across the aisle and get things done. I'm always committed to doing that. And we've had a lot of really big bipartisan wins when we've been able to do that. There are still folks with a partisan political agenda who want to keep sending me the same bills over and over again, knowing that I'll veto them, not being willing to work with me on real solutions. But I'm always committed to the solution, and we've done that over 800 times.
Let's turn to the campaign. I want to show viewers a recent post from your Facebook page this month. The text says, if you can't read it, I'll tell you what it says: my top 5 horror movies. Number 1 is Tax Breaks for Billionaires. Number 5 is An Election Denier as Governor. Again, that was written just a few weeks ago. Congressman Andy Biggs is the front runner to be the Republican nominee for governor in November. He is a well-documented election denier, tried to overturn the 2020 election results. If Andy Biggs is elected governor, why would that be a horror movie?
Well, when it comes to elections, certainly Arizonans have a huge reason to be concerned. He not only voted against Arizona's electors, our electors who were chosen in a free and secure election. He voted against the will of the voters. He helped plan January 6th. There's well-documented information about that as well. And I think there's a valid reason that the guy in the White House who continues to dispute the results of an election 6 years ago that he squarely lost wants someone who shares that agenda in the governor's office over a swing state over the 2028 election.
How concerned are you that President Trump, or perhaps even the Maricopa County Recorder, is going to interfere in the 2026 elections?
Well, the Maricopa County Recorder has been very clear about his partisan political agenda. He is already interfering in the election, and I am concerned. My office has been working with election officials across the state to ensure that we are doing everything we can to deliver a fair and secure election so that Arizona voters who are eligible can participate to the full extent. We are going to fight the overreach we're seeing at every single turn.
Congressman Biggs asks the "Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago?" question, points to unemployment being 1 point higher than it was when you took office. Job growth is slow by Arizona's historic standards, just 0.5%, I think, for the current year. Those aren't great numbers. What's your response?
Well, Andy Biggs is responsible for all of the headwinds we are facing from Washington that are slowing economic growth in our state. And despite those headwinds, we are doing better than the rest of the country. Last quarter, we were third in the nation for job growth. We continue to perform well relative to the rest of the country, and in the face of economic headwinds that are created by Washington, by this war in Iran that is raising costs everywhere, by tariffs that are costing Arizonans more everywhere they go to buy things. And Andy Biggs has supported that agenda every single step of the way.
Let's jump ahead to January 2027. Congratulations, you've won a second term. What's at the very top of your second term agenda?
You know, I said earlier, I am really proud of how we've worked together to deliver for Arizonans on the issues that are top of mind: housing affordability, protecting our water future, border security, continuing to grow good-paying jobs. And these are still top issues for Arizonans. A lot of the issues we face did not start overnight. We're not going to solve them overnight. We've made good progress, but I know there's more to do. And I will continue fighting to lower costs for Arizonans and to make sure that they have good public schools and safe communities to live in.
Lastly, a question that's persisted. Attorney General Chris May's investigation of an alleged pay-to-play scheme involving one of your campaign donors is now 2 years old this month. Have you agreed to sit for an interview with the AG's investigators?
I am in contact with her office about this request. I am looking forward to the investigation's conclusion. I know that it will find, as has been confirmed by public reporting repeatedly, that I was not involved in this decision, and that my office and the department acted in the best interest of Arizona's foster children.
So the AG's office declined to comment when I asked that question. I've heard that answer from your office for quite a while now. We're in talks.
We are in talks.
Is the clock just going to run out past the election before you sit?
That is not up to me. I'm in.
Why isn't it up to you? You could say right now, I'll do it.
We are in contact with her about the investigation. I look forward to it concluding.
Do you think you will ever sit down with investigators?
We are talking to her about that.
All right. Got to end it there. Governor Katie Hobbs, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.